Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining our live session today. My name is Larissa. I'm an event planner at Reactor, joining you from Brazil. Before we start, I have some quick housekeeping. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. While we absolutely encourage engagement in the chat, we ask that you please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional and on topic. The session is being recorded and will be available to view on demand here on the Reactor YouTube channel within 48 hours. Keep an eye on the chat. We'll be dropping helpful links and checking for questions. I will now turn it over to our speakers for today. Thank you all. Let's welcome our host for today's session, Lisa.
Hi everyone. So welcome to Agents League. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Today we've got a really exciting day. So yesterday we kicked off Agents League with the creative apps and we saw some amazing apps being built. Today we're moving into the reasoning agents. So we've got a great set of contestants and I'm going to be joined by my colleague Carlotta. We're going to give like a quick introduction of what the Reasoning Agents Hackathon is about and what Agents League is about. And then we're going to bring in our contestants and we're going to do a bit of a live hack around how they're approaching the Reasoning Agents competition and the techniques and tools and services that they're going to be using to actually build the solution. So, Carlotta, are you good to speak or would you like me to carry on? I'm going to carry on because Carlotta is having some technical issues at the moment, so don't worry about this. Hopefully she'll be able to join us. So, first of all, what is Agents League?
Hi,
Hi, Carlotta.
Hi, everyone.
So yeah,
And welcome
you're definitely having audio issues
to
there,
Agents
Carlotta.
League.
So don't worry. So yeah, let's talk about what the competition is. First of all, we're going to have live coding battles today, and we've got 3 experts from the Microsoft Foundry Discord community, and we're going to be working with this. So we have Princeps, we have Lee, and we have Sharda. This all is about community engagement. We want you to join the discussions on the Discord community and take part in this hackathon. Share your experiences, share your learning. And of course, this is a competition. So there's great recognition for the winners and we have an amazing set of prizes for the competition. So we have 3 different tracks available. We have the creative apps, which we showed yesterday, which is about building with Microsoft and GitHub Copilot using the GitHub Copilot CLI and SDK, and that's about building innovative challenges applications. Today's Reason Agents, this is really building with Microsoft Foundry. This is a code-first developer approach, really creating complex intelligent agents that then can solve multi-step reasoning and use the IQ technologies. And then we'll move into the enterprise agents, which are based on M365 Copilot and are really looking at how you build business-ready agents for the work environment. So very, very different tracks aimed at different categories, aimed at different people, and we want you to take part. So we launched this competition on May the 19th with the registrations. We're at June, so we're now looking at those different challenges. So as I said, we did the creative apps yesterday. So if you're interested in using Copilot and Copilot Studio and GitHub Copilot, please look at each of these. Today we're doing reasoning agents and tomorrow we're going to be doing enterprises. You will have until June the 14th to submit. So that's a submission deadline. So we do want you to go to aka.ms/agentsleague/AISF, which is a registration page. Please register. You will then get an invite to our Innovation Studios, which is our hackathon service. You will then have until the 14th to submit your submission. You can add to that submission as you go along, but on the 14th, the submissions will close. We will then start to judge the competition from the 26th of June, and there is a judging criteria available on that website, which will tell you the matrix and rubric for the judging. And then on the 30th, we'll close the judging and we'll start to announce the winners. So in terms of prizes, huge selection of prizes, over $15,000 of prizes overall. We have a set number of 4 categories. So these are the best creative app, the best reasoning app, the best enterprise app, and the best use of the Microsoft IQ tools. And we have some secondary prizes aimed at top students, accessibility, and hack for good. Each set of prizes contains swag boxes full of Microsoft merchandise, Azure credit, and of course, GitHub Copilot Pro subscriptions for the winners. So again, we really want you to enter these challenges, enter the competitions, and then see what ancillary competitions that you can enter either as a student or focused on accessibility or focused on Hack for Good. We have an amazing set of resources. So we've built you starter kits for each of the challenges. So we have starter kits for the creative, reason, and enterprise applications. We have a community support through YouTube and our discussions and our live broadcasts. And we also have a dedicated channel on our Microsoft Foundry Discord. So there's an Agents League channel there where you can ask questions, get involved, create teams, etc. So we want you as a community to really start to utilize these resources. The judging criteria, as I said, has a fixed rubric. So you need to achieve each of these aspects of the rubric to get the maximum scores. So we're looking at accuracy and relevance. We're looking at reasoning and multi-step thinking. We're looking at the creativity and originality of the submission, the user experience and presentation, and then the reliability and the safety of the solution. Again, in the GitHub project that you submit, you can include things like YouTube videos. So we recommend a YouTube video of no more than 5 minutes, and you can embed that directly into your GitHub repo or provide a link. And if you have built this solution, deployed it as a solution hosted on Azure, please include links to the hosted solution as well, so that the judges can actually try and experiment with your solution. So hopefully you're all ready to compete. We do have this set of resources. Please go to aka.ms/agentsleague/AISF and submit by the 14th. So let's introduce our competitors for today. So we have our live reasoning battle. So we've got Lee Weldon, we've got Princess Polyps, and we've got Sharda Carr. So let's invite them onto stage along with Carlotta. And what we're going to do is just ask them to quickly introduce themselves. So I'll read out a name, and if you introduce yourself to the audience, and then we'll get into like how you started to approach this reasoning battle. So we'll start with Lee. You're first on my list, Lee.
Awesome. Twin name. I love it. Thank you so much, Lee. I am also named Lee. I'm a principal at SCNH in our Enterprise Advisory and Transformation team. And today, for the battle, I chose a mix between reasoning and enterprise. I wanted to do a little combination of both, building a compliance academy, a multi-agent RPG style mystery game where the player is a lead investigator at a biotech firm, completely fictional, that just lost 14 gigs of clinical trial data. So thought this would be really cool to test reasoning agents live and kind of show how you can use tools like the Foundry Agent Service, Connected Agents, Model Router, and Foundry IQ.
Very cool. Very cool.
Thank you, Lee.
We'll come back to you in a second. So if you want to get ready and start building, we'll jump back to you in a second. So Sharda, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I am Sharda Kaur, Microsoft MVP, software engineer, developer, and a community speaker. I have a lot of interest in AI, cloud technologies, and developer tools. And today I'm very excited to be the part of the Agent League. And I am showcasing the multi-agent RPG using the Foundry IQ, Azure AI, Azure AI Search, GPT 4.1, and GitHub Copilot. Thank you, Lee, for having me.
Cool. Looking forward to seeing what you build. So Princeps, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Princeps Polycap. I am a software engineer, been an AI engineer for a while now. I think that, you know, one of the things that I wanted to accomplish with what we're going to showcase here is how do you go from, like, you know, having AI agents build things for you and bring those to your customers. So, you know, we're using Foundry IQ, as my colleagues have also said, you know, image models, voice models. We'll get into those a little bit as we progress, but I'm really excited to be here and just sort of participate in the Agents League.
Cool. So all the three contestants have had a few days with the starter kit. So they're using exactly the same starter kits that you are going to be using as competitors. There is two different challenges within the reasoning agents. There's the opportunity of building an RPG-based game. Sounds like everybody's going that route. Or there's an opportunity of building an enterprise application using Microsoft Learn and the Microsoft Learn MCP and the Work IQ. So let's get into it. So Lee, let's share what you're working on. Let's see what you've been building.
Awesome, awesome. So before we deep dive into the code, I just wanted to show everybody just a quick visual. The user layers is a Chainlet UI app, and I also added an activity log terminal so you can see the live retrieval coming from all of the Azure components. Everything's authenticated, so you're not exposing any API keys out there. Everything's secure, kind of supporting that enterprise lens. I also thought, you know what, compliance training, pretty boring for an enterprise, right? It's typically click-throughs, PDFs, multiple choice quizzes, no retention. You're typically memorizing things. So what I really wanted to do was make a kind of an RPG style scenario to make it easier and more fun for users to actually interact and test their skills from a security awareness training. So that's really what I built today. It's all built on Azure backbone, Azure Foundry. And we have things like the model router, which is a new feature that just got deployed. It's one endpoint, automatic model selection. There's no per model deployment juggling. I'm also using Foundry IQ as the retrieval index. So all of the fictional biotech kind of internal employees are grounded in true documentation, not just something that, they kind of hallucinate. Like I mentioned, everything's supported by the Entra ID backbone. We're using things like the default Azure credentials, so no API keys are floating around in your project. And then the Chainlet app, like I talked about here, which just provides a really nice look and feel when you're interacting in the game.
So I'm like, first of all, super impressed. Like, you've been doing this for a few days. So, this is within the week. How did you start with the implementation? Did you start with like a spec, or, was this all vibe coded? What was your, how did you approach this?
Yeah, so I work a lot with enterprise organizations, and a big thing we focus on is security. But it's also really boring to learn about security best practices. You're thrown into like a point and click kind of know before you go style training. And sometimes that information doesn't really retain itself. So I wanted to leverage something for my clients that would make it a little bit more fun and kind of more like a mystery style game to learn best practice, to maintain a good security posture within your organization, and to just make it be fun. Also, I'm a big AI nerd, so I wanted to practice more with, grounding agents in an exchange with, common things you would see within a compliance team, like SOC compliance, HIPAA, ISO, NIST, right? All of these things that are super important to have. I wanted to practice with giving these agents true grounded context versus hallucinating. So I started from there and did a little bit of vibe coding myself. I'm not a compliance expert by any means. So I used a lot of it in helping me, appropriately ground the agents and also give them system level prompts to be basically their own persona.
Cool. I love it. I love what you've done already. So this is great. Carlos has joined us now. So can you hear us okay, Carlotta?
Yeah, I can hear okay. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you fine now, yeah. The joys of live sessions.
Yes, we're building agent with agent, but still relying on our laptop hardware, not kicking off in the middle of the live streaming. By the way, I'm here.
Excellent. So let's move over to Sharda. So Sharda, do you want to show us what you've been building? And again, talk us through how you've sort of approached the reasoning agents battle. Oh, you're on mute.
She's muted.
Yeah.
You're muted.
Sorry, I muted myself.
So don't worry. Don't mute yourself. Just keep your mics on. Don't worry.
Yeah. So for this challenge, I choose the reasoning agent because I really interested in building multi-agent system where the different AI agent collaborate to solve the problem, and we can create experience together. And and this challenge is a fantasy role and playing game using the Microsoft Foundry with the game master agent and coordinate with the multiple specialized agent. I have created the 4 agents. and my project name is the Shadow Quest. It's a very interesting name, by the way. I have a 4 agent which I have created. The main one is the Game Master agent, and the second one is a Warrior agent, and third one is a Maid agent, and the fourth one is a Rogue agent. So these 4 agents help us to create a foundry. So I use the knowledge base so we can extract the information from there and show the things, not like a simple chat GPT or a simple things. And here we have a knowledge base and we can extract information from there and show the things in the GPT 4.1. And so if I talk about my Game Master agent, and let me show the code of Game Master agent. Yeah. So Game Master agent act as a orchestra and control the overall experience. And the Warrior agent focus on the combat decisions. And Mage is a very specialized for the magical knowledge and the more. And the fourth one is the Rogue as a focus on the exploration, investigation, and discovery. For a technology stack, I use the Microsoft Foundry and Foundry IQ, GitHub Copilot 1, GitHub Copilot, and Azure AI Search. So these are the key requirements in this league, and one of the major requirement in this league is using the integrating with the Microsoft IQ layer. So to fulfill this requirement, I use the Foundry IQ. So with the Azure AI Search, so we have a knowledge base for the game world. And let me show the architecture
Very cool.
of
So
this.
you've built a true role-playing game. So you've got Lee, who's taken the role-playing game and moved it to an enterprise context. You've taken a role-playing game, you've got a pure RPG. So it's like Game Master, you stand before the moonlit gate, ancient ruins surround you, a cold wind blows through the forest. What do you want to do next?
Yes, for the next, we will go to the Foundry IQ. Here we have 4 agents which work on through the knowledge base, and I send the prompt to there. They extract the information from the knowledge base and give the decision to us. So this is a perfect game. So we do not, it does not respond like we have a question and it give an answer. So it first think from the knowledge base and then give an answer. This is the architecture of my game, which is a player. When a player enter anything in the game, and they go to the main game, and having a story agent, which I will already told you have a 4 agent, and they have a game state, and I'm also adding in the further in the session and 2 or more 3 agents who and the six agent work along and help to build a great RPG multi-agent.
Cool.
This is the thing.
So again, how did you approach this? Did you start to vibe code it, or did you build a specification, or what was your approach to building this solution?
Oh yes. So this project does not take me so much time to build up, but yes, some points I'm just having a doubt, having some things I need to be understand, like a Foundry IQ, Microsoft Foundry in detail, learn about that and how it's work. I use the GitHub Copilot for the mainly one things, and everyone using that. And I also use the GitHub Copilot. It helped me to develop all the code and generate code, and I specify that which is very suitable for this game, and I use the Copilot for creating the different agents who build the RPG multi-agent games and response in the prompt in the terminal.
Cool. And I can see you using GPT 5.4 with a medium context, and in using Copilot Chat, which is quite nice in line. So very cool.
Yes.
Very cool.
Do you have like a human in the loop in this graph as well? Like I see a player node in the graph in there. Is it like human in the loop integration, or is it just another agent?
These are just like a agent, and I give the prompt to that, give a specification how they work. My game is built on the Asian, and if we go on the Asian history and where we go to the this canal and this row, so this work like that. And I have a 4 and 6 agents which work on the specification I have given on that. If I move to the Microsoft Foundry, it's something different from that, because it extracts the information from the knowledge base, which is relevant for the every agent who need to respond according to that.
Sounds great. We'll go there next, but I want to make sure Princeps has his opportunities to screen and walk us through his approach and the scenario he has chosen for the challenge. Princeps, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So I was really excited about Agents League and just kind of started working on the game itself. So similar to everyone else, I sort of picked reasoning agents and role-playing games. And what I wanted to do, having come from a technical background, is to, similar to how Lee actually wanted to make, compliance a little bit less daunting and a little bit less boring and more engaging. I wanted to be able to build not only a game within which you can be able to sort of kind of role play as a CEO and then build out this business built around like an idea you have, either, so you can drop a link into it, and then you would kind of sort of build this, like build your own adventure in a way on how, are you hiring marketing people? What sort of problems do you have to solve to turn this into a business that delivers this service? And so the game has an intro, and pretty much what I'm going to show on the screen here is the game at its current state. And then I'll get into a bit of the technicals about, we're using GPT 5.5. We're using, so we have a game master similar to Sharda. We have like, character agents, warriors. We have like, org designers, right? So we have an agent who will design your organization. We have tool calls for code execution. We have Foundry IQ for memory. If they scrape your website, then they store that into the memory, and then they can actually retrieve that to help you kind of build out this narrative that you go through and you kind of, solve different problems. And as the human in the loop, you get to decide how different, do you launch this product right now when it's 80% done, or do you wait until it's 90% done? Various things like that you'd have to solve. So I'm going to play this right now. And hopefully you can hear the sound. Let me know if you can't hear the sound, because I'll then walk you through it. Okay?
Sure.
Welcome to your hero's journey. You are to chart a path within a world that terraforms the Sahara Desert and automates basic needs. A vision this size is never commanded into existence. It is aligned by a vow. Belly goes hungry. No head goes without a roof. The mechanism is an agency of digital workers. Bind your real skill to a worker that executes, and your experience becomes a business that runs while you sleep, and everyone gets paid fairly. Every agent here reasons on Microsoft Foundry. Memory it can cite, checks it cannot fake. And one law above them all: nothing counts until you approve it. Found a company on one front of the mission. Take the CEO's chair. Your company is the dungeon.
So, so that was a bit.
That's cool.
That's awesome. What a cool intro.
The lower a little bit. And so that's kind of the context, right? And so the company you're building is to kind of help, automate basic needs and help us like get to this point in the future where AI has helped us do these things, right? Because there's the whole doom and gloom, and I wanted to do something that is inspiring. There's all these concepts I wanted to bring together, but make them really intuitive and really simple, right? So actually, Microsoft has this thing called planetary computers. So I wanted to kind of bring that into it and say, okay, I want to build a product. And so I'm going to click that. And so everything you'll see here is not only generated.
So your path is planetary computer, a planetary scale environmental intelligence.
So the audio is also generated in real time using.
Is this your question about Whisper then? The question in Discord?
Yeah, this is it.
Can I use Whisper to do this? This is what you did, wasn't it?
Yeah, this was because like I hate typing, so I wanted to be able to like just speak and use Whisper, and then also have it narrate back,
Nice.
because reading is kind of also, like when you're sort of, when I have such a limited amount of time, I want you to be able to hear the agents not only saying what they, the narrative is, but also kind of showing you, okay, as the CEO, you're gonna have to discover, your audience. You're gonna have to position them. You have to build the MVP. What's your go-to-market strategy? How do you retain your early adopters? And so, part of it is that I wanted to not only teach about, hey, these are the models we're using, this is how we're using Foundry IQ, but also another layer on top of that is teach about business, right? About how do you take something you vibe code and you translate it into something that is a service, and it can be built to be able to actually offer value to other people. In this context,
I
it's
love the way
automated needs.
you've done that and also leaded that. This is like taking the concept of a game, making it business ready. What's the purpose? There's a real purpose behind it, so I love the way you've taken those challenges and done that.
Yeah, and so it will show you like the org chart. So the Mermaid diagrams are generated in real time. So if I drop, let's say, like an Anthropic URL in there, it would like, kind of rewrite the narrative around, hey, how do they use their mission as a company to be able to help automate basic needs or something like that, right? And so it'll ask you questions such as this, where now this is the human in the loop aspect, where it's asking you, hey, there's these two paths that we want to follow. Do we want to pick one niche, one painful workflow, and one owner? Which I generally think that it's probably the best to pick, because then you're focusing early on your business in solving a specific audience's problem, which then allows you to actually then have early adopters and customers for that. And so, there's still audio playing. I'm just like I muted it. And here I'll kind of show you, the tools that it's calling.
Chapter 2. Define value proposition and ICP.
Yeah, so you can kind of hear
Strategy
it.
and positioning lead spins up on
I like the
Foundry
chapters.
and recalls
That's
from
awesome.
IQ memory.
Yeah, it took a little bit.
Strategy and positioning lead delivered a positioning brief.
And so,
And I like the accessibility framework too for that.
Because you can hear it, right? Because not everybody maybe wants to read. How do I engage people and pull them in and not force them to sort of kind of have to engage with it? I want to make it easier for people to kind of engage with these things.
So Princeps, this looks very, very cool. And I think there'd probably be a lot of people in the call going, oh my God, you built this in a few days. Like, what approach did you take to building this?
At first, I actually started off with like sprites. I started off with like just getting some sprites and trying to build like an actual, like sort of kind of like a Pokemon game. And then after I'd set up the LLMs, after I'd sort of set up the foundation of the code base, then I actually then went back and like, what do I want people to experience? I think the UI actually came after I had sort of got down to, hey, this is sort of the experience I want somebody to go through here, because now I had all the checkboxes that I needed to kind of hit about the concept I wanted to hit, and also like the agents leagues rubric, right? So I had these two sort of requirements, and so what is the best way to express that, right? And I abandoned the sort of sprites and true gamified approach of it to have a form factor that actually shows the information, walks you through, engages with you. Because I think that, one of them was going to take a little bit longer, and it wasn't going to sort of kind of help you learn about, a company structure. These are sort of the agents in the different parts of your org chart and different things like that.
Great work, Princeps, and everyone. I love how you three kind of interpreted the role to game challenge in and I look to the used. Of course, agents, you all have used Microsoft Foundry, but we are curious about the specifics. You kind of share with us your approach in building your solution, the scenario you have chosen, etc. But now we are curious.
The technicals.
Yeah, the technicals. So how was it Copilot CLI?
Yeah.
Was it SDK? Was it chat? Sharda showed us she was using chat to build her solution.
Yeah.
So we'd love to hear from Lee. So Lee, how did you approach this?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually have a few Python scripts open on my machine here. The first one really is kind of the core to authentication, using the Azure client to connect, basically just a simple build Azure client wrapper that allows you to then hook directly into the Azure OpenAI client. I don't know if I'm being,
Cool.
if my
So
screen is
Larissa, could you
sharing,
just share
if you
Lee's
want to
screen?
share.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry, Larissa, if you could just share Lee's screen.
Yeah.
Brilliant, thank you.
There she is. Perfect.
Yeah.
So some of the internals, as with kind of most standard frameworks, you want to have your source information in here. And just to make this kind of decoupled and to support a quality authentication pattern into your Azure services, I built an Azure client wrapper here that constructs the Azure OpenAI client that allows you to access Foundry resources directly through Entra ID. That's a really core part of a lot of enterprise infrastructure. Yep. So we also, being good developers, we always want to wrap things in good error handling here. So we go ahead and call out to the Azure OpenAI, and we establish a connection. If it doesn't work, we obviously want to make sure that we have good error handling in there. But once it does, we go ahead and we import using just the default Azure client credentials. There's no API keys, no secret rotations, no .env files with secrets sitting in a repo somewhere. It's the same as if we're talking about CLI. It's the same as your AZ login, right? So that's a good one. The other really cool one I wanted to share really focuses on the Foundry IQ retrieval, and showing you guys how we actually decouple and pull grounded information from Foundry IQ. It's literally just a type query against the Azure AI search index, as you can see here. So you can, if we kind of narrow in on the retrieve context here, we retrieve the top K, whatever you want to retrieve there. It basically is just 5 lines of business logic. It searches the index, as you can see here with this line of code. It then takes the ranks, the returned rank snippets, and scores them so that the agents are really grounded in the best possible retrieval. And then my agents, there's a few agents here, which I didn't talk about earlier. The forensic analyst and the compliance officer actually call this before they return anything. So you can even, I have my Streamlit at here on the right, and I could ask, like, for example, walk me through the vendor policy. And so what will come up is we will, I actually had to hit a scenario first before it works. And then we go through and we can ask the forensic analyst about it. And you can see here, right here, the forensic analyst is being called. You can see some logging here within the terminal. And it is going back and it's actually scraping Foundry IQ to retrieve information back, which is really cool. You can see here it's actually using the Azure credentials. Yeah.
So in terms of this, how have you thought about like latency? Because you're scraping this data, you're indexing the data, you're retrieving the top K. I don't know. I couldn't say how many retrievals you're doing, but you're retrieving the top K. So there is this latency of this implementation, isn't there? So how have you thought about that?
Yeah, it's definitely some of the future features. I want to add a caching layer that actually makes that user experience much richer. As the Chainlit app persists within a hosted web app, you should be able to cache some of that content versus trying to reach back out into Foundry. So you'll see here, it looks like it posted it, and she's working through it. You can see she it looks like she's still working through the request here, but yeah, that's one of my future goals is to apply caching. And it looks like we had a little failure here on the workload. It looked like
live demos. Live demos.
Definitely also want to incorporate. Yeah, right.
And again,
exactly,
this is something you're building. So
but
just for everybody on the call, this is like not a finished product. This is a build in product. We want to show you like how people are approaching this. So live demos, authentication issues.
Yeah.
These are solutions that are being built as we speak. So again, I love the way you've thought about this. And again, you're thinking about the right things in terms of caching strategies.
Here we go. Now she's working again.
Cool. So again, this is a live stream.
Yeah,
so there's lots of people
definitely logging is important.
Logging is definitely important. So the whole, and again, observability, I'm really interested in how you're thinking about that observability piece of your agents. And again, I love the way you're showing in the terminal, you can see like, the actual trace of how the agents are actually integrating and dealing with these different queries. So this is a live broadcast, everyone, as you can tell. There's lots of people online. There is a questions, and we've got Aisha in the chat as well answering questions. If there is like specific questions you want to ask these contestants, please add it in there. We can definitely bring those questions up. Let's move over to Sharda and just like go, if Sharda can give us a quick demo of her solution and talk to us about some of the key aspects that she's built.
Yes, Lee. We will go to the Microsoft Foundry. We will show the live demo.
Yes, please.
Let me share my screen. I think it's visible.
Not yet.
Not yet. It's not loading yet.
Okay.
So if you just share your screen. Yeah, here we go. It's coming up now.
Okay.
Yep, we can see it now. So you're in the Foundry portal and you're in the agents. So you've got deployed agents. Yep.
Yeah. So this is a game master agent, which is powered by the GPT 4.1, and it's connected to the Foundry IQ with the knowledge base. And here knowledge base is connected to the Azure AI search, and we're using the vector search with embedding, and the agent retrieve information about the games whenever the needed additional context. One of the goal is only the game with the word consistent as it grow. So Foundry IQ help us to solve that problem. So I can make a demonstration as very simple as, so we can show the AI agent application. So this is a GPT model and the Foundry IQ base. So let me send any prompt to them to their tell me about.
While you just type in that as well, I love now, especially this is really for Carlotta. I love that little voice mode button there, because if you want to chat to this agent, you can just flick that on, and now you have a voice-enabled agent without doing any code, and it's awesome.
So yes, I give the instruction to that model, which is extracted from the knowledge base, and here is a knowledge base. Shadow Quest is added from the Azure AI search to there, and which extract the memory from there through the embedding and Azure icons. And here we can show the all the details. So let me show the prompt here. So tell me about the Shadow Quest. Shadow Quest world about. So we will see what the prompt is show about the game agent.
Yeah, and you spelled world wrong. So let's see what it comes up with. You said word instead of world.
And did you feed
it start working?
See, it's good. So, it understood. It's an LLM.
So yes, this is the show about the Shadow Quest, and is an Asian core. It's tell about the legacy of the Astral Kingdom and the magical research institution. So it show about the location. So here is the index it's showing, and it take information from the Azure module, and Shadow Quest is also active in there. So let me work on the second prompt. So let me write. So what is
Yeah, just while Sharda's typing in, all these contestants, so Lee, Princeps, Sharda, have used the starter kit to get started. In the Reason Agent starter kit, we have 2 challenges. We have a build an enterprise agent with Microsoft Learn and the Learn MCP and IQ, or build a D&D based game. So they've all done the D&D based game, but they've all approached it very differently. So Sharda's a real game, Princess is looking at how you can build an organization structure from a learning perspective of how to grow an organization, and Lee's enterprise application looking at training and readiness around compliance. So they've took that game concept and made it 3 different things, which is very cool.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm hitting my company's credentialing. It looks like I have a certificate problem.
Okay.
But I do see the logging is very beneficial. The logging is doing a great job kind of explaining to me what's happening and what's going on. So certificates are fun.
Certificates are fun, but very, very, they're very key in terms of building enterprise applications. You don't want, you don't want auth happening. You want it nice and simple for end users. You want it secure and compliant. So Princeps, do you want to give us a quick overview, like of a demo around like some of the key features in your service?
Yeah, for sure. And so, for me, what I actually tend to like, and I'll zoom into the Mermaid diagrams here and kind of walk you through it a little bit. But I like to use the chat, especially because the chat has these features which I think a lot of people might not know about, like the Mermaid diagram feature, where it can make Mermaid diagrams for you. So typically what I like to do is
Could you using Claude Fable already? Sorry, I've just noticed that.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an unfair advantage, but it's a really good model, to be honest. I spent last night with it, and I was
That's
able to
great.
actually do
Already
so
using Fable.
much. Yeah, and actually, here's how I ended up actually making those videos of the intro. So, for those who don't know, the chat actually provides you, like, you can give there's an in browser inside VS Code, and when they brought that in, actually, it was really like amazing and powerful. And so what I had Fable do actually was go to my Flow account and make those intro videos, like make these intro videos, and actually like stitch them together. So the first thing I wanted to show was the Mermaid diagrams, because VS Code having the Mermaid diagrams allows you to, for technical and non-technical people, just to be able to visualize the abstract nodes, the abstract parts of your system, both visually, but also the actual underlying system that has to exist, the backend, the server, the API calls. We're using this voice model, like I think Lee had kind of brought up credentials, right, and being able to pass those back and forth. When I deal with OAuth, it's always good to see, okay, I'm getting this token from Google. I have to kind of verify it like this and kind of, visualize it, those abstract systems. And so one of the things I wanted to highlight was part of my process is to use this Mermaid diagram feature. The other feature that I think is sort of, I don't know if a lot of people know about it, but it's this feature where if you have, I think it might be an extra extension, but if you have a markdown, right, you can hit Command-Shift-V, and it will turn that markdown into this rendered document that you can then kind of read through VS Code, because these LLMs love markdown. And so you get a bunch of markdowns explaining like, oh, this one is architecture, it's probably another one with lore.
So you definitely use spec kit or specification-led development.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think
which specification-led development tool or framework did you use?
Oh, I just kind of write, since I've been programming a lot, I've been programming for almost 10 years now. So I just kind of write them myself, and then just kind of, the other feature I actually want to highlight here is, Lee, is the voice transcription at the bottom here. I go on these like 10-minute rambles about whatever I'm working on. So I'll put my headphones on.
You use VS Code voice. So you basically turn voice mode on, press the space bar, ramble away, and let it come up with something.
Yeah. So I usually, tell it, hey, let's do some Mermaid diagrams, let's do a document, and then help me structure these thoughts into, this complete thing. And then from there, then, to show you some code, then we actually get into the code, right? How to structure the project, the main. Before, like, I do love UI and I do love designing great UI, but I always feel like, great UI is sort of, it's form with function, right? What is the function of that UI? What am I trying to have people experience? And can I do that in the least amount of clicks as possible while also being engaging? And so this one here is basically the narrator. So the main narrator who kind of sets up the scenario based on, did you give us a URL, or did you tell us you have these skill sets and you want to build a sort of a one-person business around those skill sets? And so the whole structure of it is that, so I kind of told you we had started off with a sprite game there. But I can get a bit deeper into the code, the tools that they have. So we do have actually, so part of the stack is actually that we have models so we have image models that generate images that kind of help you walk you through, what your narrative is. Let me actually scroll down here a little bit. Yeah, so we have, so down here we have the GPT-5 models, 5.5 models. And so we also have the Foundry IQ to be able to store the memories, to store the information. And then we have the agent service, which is kind of how we retrieve that. And then lastly is the sort of the TTS model for them to take those scripts that the models are saying, turn it into a voice. And then we also have tools where the agent can create an image for you and kind of show you, hey, this is, like, here's a graphic. If the Mermaid diagram isn't working, here's an image that can kind of help you visualize that a little bit better.
Cool. So lots of people in the comments are saying, oh my God, your selection of models, like, you're using everything. Like, what is your token count today? Do you know what it is?
No. So I had actually started with Kimi K 2.6 and DeepSeek V4 Pro, but I had low quota on those two. So if I'm going to demo it, I want to be able to kind of like get it to actually produce everything. But my favorite models are definitely those because they're a lot cheaper. Like DeepSeek is ridiculously cheap for the amount of intelligence you get for it, right? So with Fable, it is very expensive, but I will say that it is one of those models that is very, very, very smart. So it's kind of like, how do you square that circle?
Yes, right? You don't do like a bash command with Fable 5, do you?
No, Agent Loose and Agent 5. But it is exceptional. The long running tasks, I was amazed.
Funny enough, I actually went the complete opposite. So I picked GPT 4.1 Mini because of the behavior you really want in terms of its negligible AI search cost, the scenario generator. So like I always like to attack and apply large language models for the task, right? I don't want to throw all of my huge, models at something that's just a basic retrieval component. So I think applying smaller models to retrieval tasks, simple summarizations, like that always seems to really help, especially on an enterprise in terms of cost savings.
Definitely. I think this is one of the key questions we're seeing in the Discord. So anybody's in the Discord channel, like everybody's asking, like, what model should I use? And again, it's really about build with the most optimized model. And again, with the subscriptions or token limits that you have. And again, this is not all about AI. A lot of this is manual code still. So, the AI is there to help bootstrap you, get you started. And that's why I'm always stressing like evaluation-led development and spec-driven development. Again, I noticed Sharda was using like the GPT-4 family of models, which again, very, very cost effective. And, so don't feel like if you're entering this competition, you have to like spend thousands of dollars in tokens. That's really just depending on if you have the funds, great. If you don't have the funds, think about this from a sensible economic perspective. And I think, this is what's really great about these challenges now in AI is like, what's the opportunity it can give you. And again, having the Discord community where, Lee, Sharda and Princeps are part of that community and being able to share those experiences is really key because there's so many ways of skinning this cat, as they say. You know, you can approach it in so many different ways, and I love the way we've done that today during the sessions.
Yeah.
I wanted to add something. Model router. So Lee, the other Lee, had actually brought up model router.
I use that too. Yeah.
So yeah, because model router. So if you have, let's say, GPT 5.4 mini, or you can have like an array of like
28
small
models. 28 models now supported.
And also, I think they might also support the open source models, right? So you can have like an array of like the sort of low tier, cheapest models, and then model router will actually route intelligently between all those models. This allows you to also have both the cost effectiveness while also not having to maybe deal with the quota issue. I mean, obviously having fallbacks will help with that. But I wanted to bring that up because you had actually brought that up. And I wanted to kind of highlight that as when you're sort of deciding the models, definitely, I mean, looking at benchmarks, definitely, kind of thinking about how in my system can I be able to say, okay, how do I actually be able to gauge this model versus this model? This one is better over this one. This one is, a lot cheaper. And that's kind of why I technically usually start off with like open source models. But then over time, if I run into some things, and you can kind of see it here. It was that, I realized, okay, I really need to kind of make this work and then optimize it after the fact. And so that was kind of my reasoning with that. But I wanted to bring up the model router.
Model router is amazing. And again, from a development perspective, it makes things so much easier. And again, Lee's done this in her code, is if you select model router for each of the agents, model router will choose the most optimized model for that interaction. So in a game where you might say, hi, to start off with, it's going to choose a very small model. And as you get more in-depth in the game and asking more complex queries or questions, it's going to choose a bigger model. And again, it's a great way of making your life as a developer easy, because you don't have to go through and say agent 1 uses this model, agent 2 uses this model. You just basically set it all as model router. So yeah, really great tool. Supports 28 models, DeepSeek, OpenAI, Anthropic. And again, you can just select which models you want the route to happen with. So really lovely solution.
Also,
again,
one last thing. These are open source projects. So anyone in the audience who would want to see how Lee, let's say, implemented this model, or Sharda implemented this model, or their sort of architecture, our code is up. So the code that you saw today and the code that we'll proceed, continuously improve on, I'd like to let anyone in the audience know that, hey, go check it out, like go see how we did some of the magic behind the scenes.
We welcome any and all feedback, pull requests. I'll even make you a contributor. So absolutely. I think that's the beauty of open source and collaboration, because the sky's the limit here. And you guys may have a different perspective. You may have other models you might like to pick. So absolutely come over, submit a pull request.
Again, key thing is this is a challenge, so we don't want people like plagiarizing other people's submissions. So, build upon the solutions, adapt, etc. Lee has actually done a really great blog today. So the blog went live today. So I'm just going to put that in the chat about, her solution. And again, Princeps and Sharda are going to be blogging.
Please check it out
over the next few days. So please do check these blogs out. They'll be going live over the next few days and weeks. And again, you can see how they're sort of approaching these problems, what the challenges are. So Carlotta, do you want to close us out? I think we're getting near time in terms of this session.
Yes, we are near time. I just wanted to say, just to double down on what Princeps and Lee were saying, not just the projects we have seen today, but all the projects, all the Agents League projects will be public. So please, when you submit your project for the Agents League, make sure your repository is public, so the judges, of course, will be able to view it, but also other at it, because everything we are doing here is really sharing ideas, so you can be inspired by others, as well as you build your own agents and your own projects. And thank you so much, Princeps, Lee, Sharda, for sharing your projects and your ideas. I have one last question, maybe 1 minute per each. how do you envision, how do you want to evolve your application or project? I know it was already mentioned, fixing her logging issues. Anything else you have on your roadmap?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh,
yeah,
sure. After you.
I think I'll deploy what I have just as a web app that people can just use if they want to get into it. I want to do some local models, see if I can be able to kind of make that even more accessible, because I want it to be something people can play with even after the fact, and kind of engage with, right? Because the whole goal is us as developers, as technical people, as I would consider myself a nerd, I would want us to know how can we bring the creativity that we have to the hands of the people who actually need it, right? And so kind of showing that whole path of like, from a crazy idea to building it to then kind of having it available for you to use, so that you can also kind of go back the other way where you use this kind of interesting tool that kind of teaches you how to be able to kind of bring your interesting idea to real life, which inspires you to actually do, to kind of bring your interesting ideas to the world.
Good plan. Lee, what about you?
Yeah, I think for me, specifically for reasoning agents, you want to ground anything that, is really sensitive to your enterprise or to your application in retrieval always. Even general knowledge, like things like policy citations, there's a ton of hallucination risk still in some of the best tools today. I think the logging, I would like to continue to hone in on that, have a little bit better observability, maybe on a lower grain, not just kind of on a high level, kind of info only logging. And then I really would love to have more connected agent patterns for clear role separation. I want to make sure I'm giving agents a very specific task, not just applying one agent to do everything. Specialization is key, and really creating that agentic workflow to have the agents work together on specialized tasks is great. So those are a couple things that I think I would love to do, and also the caching, like we talked about before.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Lee. Sharda, what's your plan next?
My future plan to expand the projects, adding the additional characters, dynamic cost generation, persistent memory, and we can add the dice rolling and a combat systems, having a large Foundry IQ data sets. So we have a more advanced agent collaboration patterns. I believe the reasoning agent is a really a fun way to explore the multi-agent system, and with the Microsoft Foundry, if we are starting with the basic agents, and it helps to improve, make a great agent through the knowledge as retrievals and the Foundry IQ, and with the Azure as AI search and GPT 4.1, and I think it's make a great and a more grounded and interactive RPG experience. Yeah.
Wonderful. It's great to hear you have, a great roadmap ahead, all the three of you. And thanks for sharing it with us today and for inspiring others. So can you go to the next slide so we can wrap up and give us some, if you go to the next one. Yeah, perfect. So here you have some resources that can help you with Agents League. So first thing first, the next step will be, if you haven't registered yet, I know many of you have registered yet, many of you have submitted a project already, but if you haven't submitted your project yet, no worries. You have time till the 14th of June, so you can still register today. Choose your track. Today it was about reasoning agents, so our three live battle competitors showcase projects, aligned with the reasoning agents project, but you can pick one of the three tracks in here: creative apps, which is about GitHub Copilot and prompt-driven development, and also enterprise agents, which is about Microsoft 365, Copilot Studio, and all these technologies related to the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. And there will be another live battle tomorrow featuring the enterprise agents track. And also you are encouraged to join our Discord server, our Foundry Discord server, where all the community engagement around Agents League is happening. So you can maybe share your project ideas, share your repo with others, since the repos are public anyway, and ask questions if you have doubts. We are there. We are hanging there to make sure we can kind of clarify any doubts you have, and make your experience at Agents League better. And I think we have one last slide, Lee, for just a QR code, a very big QR code, so it's easier to scan for everyone. And this is just to register to the league and basically start your journey, because once you registered, you will get all the resources you need. So everything like the live battle streaming, links, even if you weren't able, for example, to catch live the yesterday streaming, you can catch it up on demand. This will be available on demand as well, together with tomorrow's live streaming. You will find the link to join the Discord, but I think the team has shared it on the chat as well. You will find, useful resources in terms of maybe Microsoft Learn modules that might inspire you as you build your agentic projects. And you will find the process to submit your own project and try to win some amazing prizes. I'm sure Lee shared about it at the beginning of the streaming. So thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much to Lee, Princeps, Sharda, for joining today and also sharing their projects and their ideas. And thanks everyone for joining this live stream. I hope this inspired you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, team.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all for joining, and thanks to our speakers for today's session. We are always look to improve your experience. So if you have any feedback for us, we would love to hear what you have to say. You can find the link to our survey on the screen or in the chat, and we'll see you in the next one.